I often ask myself, how much does technology really help us? Does it really? I mean, is having all this screen time and being online and being connected, is it really in the long run making us more effective, more efficient? I mean, it would seem there's a confusion lapse. There's so much technology that's moving so quick. Take AI, ChatGPT. The minute we start using it, there's a marketer out there that says that you should be using it for something better, something bigger. You're missing the point. You're not getting enough out of it. So we're in this constant conversation of more. I buy a cell phone. The minute I walk out of the phone store, it's obsolete. What does that mean? Well, that means that I maybe need to buy new technology the minute I leave because I need to sort of be in the latest, greatest thing. It's like the person that wants to go to the rock concert and always be the first. I got to be the first. I got to get ahead. And what that does to us is, first, it puts us into unnecessary spending. It causes waste. And it creates angst in that it's never quite satisfying, that we never can have enough or be content with what we have because there's something else that we should be doing, would be doing, ought to be doing. And then we organize our lives around ideals. How many times do you say to yourself during the day, this is what I should do, this is what I ought to do, this is what I would do? Or you look in the rearview mirror and you say, that's what I could have done. I should have done, I would have done it, I could have done it. And even if you did things effectively, all you would tend to look for is, because I'm not meeting my ideal, is what's missing. So we spend our lives on things that we could do, would do, ought to do, instead of doing what we can do or doing what we are doing. We're very conditional about our doings. We're very conditional about our havings and things. But to be very, very mindful of this, because it can get to be to a point where it starts to harm us mentally. It begins to distract us internally, that we're always having a conversation about something that should be different. And when we're walking the earth about something that should be different, we're walking in an angry way. Because anger means I demand things to be different. I don't want it the way it is. It should be different than it is. And we lose our soft edge. We lose our soft edge to hardening up based on how much things should be better, should be different than the way they are. And so if I could only have it that way, then I would be great. I'd be happy. Everything would be just fine. Imagine that. Imagine if we lived our lives around everything being satisfactory. That when things are satisfactory, when things are fulfilling, things are going our way, everything's right. I'd be so bored. I mean, nothing would be interesting. Isn't honoring differences part of what the journey is? I know it is for me. Is anything, a wild card can be coming around the corner. I don't know what's coming next. You don't know what's coming next. Life is messy therapy. So everything is sort of on the way without being reduced. Even if I predict it, I'll end up being disappointed. If I say I think I know what's going to happen and I have expectations and it contradicts reality, then I'm going to be falling apart all the time. I'm in a reactive orientation. If I'm in a reactive orientation, then I can't get my attention under my control. It's hijacked by my emotional reactivity. So I can't be responsible. So it comes back to what involves a fundamental choice. And that is, I choose to live my life as a predominant creative force. This is a fundamental question. If the circumstances are what organize me, then I am led around and governed by the external influences that I am responding to. And those influences that I'm responding to are things that require a better attitude in order for me to stay at a level at which I can be calm and homeostatic. I can be in a place of peace. So all of us in some sense would go to work on our attitude because we would need to have the rewards of being okay with what's going on. This is why positive thinking was so popular. Is I need to spin it a different way, or I need to look at things in a positive light because I'm afraid that if I do it in the negative, then I'll attract more negative. This is really something. And so we don't need to go to work on our thinking. We just need to be articulate in reality. There is something really useful about being fluent in the truth. The truth is that I can use the technology that I have and do things very well. And the truth may be that my technology truly is not serving what I'm doing. So you have to ask yourself, is it really about me being on the screens? Is it being on the phone? Is it getting those connections that really will suit me to a more successful level? Access does not equal success. We live in a world where we are like mosquitoed all the time by things, messages, notifications, things we should be looking at, news, where in a sense everything else has our attention but ourselves. Our attention is not our own property. And what I'm recommending is that we take it back. That if we're going to be the predominant creative force in our life, which is a fundamental choice, it doesn't need to be justified. It's just an orientation of the spirit to creating. I'm going to bring something into being because it matters to me and make that the centerpiece of my decisions. I'm going to be deliberate and intentional about what I want to create. I'm going to live by a life plan. Is it a defense move? No. It's a fundamental choice that will involve a number of other primary choices, a la the goals that I want to create and move my attention towards. But what do I really put my attention to? What is worthy of my attention is a great question. Or what really matters to me is another way of asking it. Because what really is worthy of my attention is something's connecting that has meaning. It matters, or it doesn't matter. And maybe I can put my attention more on things that do matter and take my attention off of things that don't. And is it okay to live in the way that you do what's privately important to you because you do, and that you don't owe any explanations for doing that? I mean, assuming you're not hurting anyone, but you're doing things because you want to do them for the sake of them and they matter. And maybe that's the heart of the matter of living and learning and being involved in our lives in spite of the circumstances, positive or negative, but our orientation is to create. And so it's not a strategy, it's a manner of living. It's a manner of learning how to create the things that we're after. So now we add technology to that and we ask, well, where does artificial intelligence, where does AI come into play with that? And maybe a way that I can look at it is that AI is not to replace my creative process, but to augment and enhance my creative process by being a companion, a fuel additive that can help me make decisions or think things through or acquire knowledge and information that I maybe don't possess. But it's all within the structure between what I want and what I have. So the needs that I compose, the needs that I have, and the decisions I make are around what technology would help me create more effectively what I want. And in doing that, I'm going to have to reference my strengths, weaknesses. So there may be vulnerabilities or weaknesses where technology can plug in and augment that. And maybe they can assist other people that support me on a team level that will help them be more effective at what they do, orient themselves to creating more value for other people, orient themselves to creating more of what they want in their life and business. But the game is about creating, and creating creates a sense of what is useful. What is useful is what helps me move towards what I want to create. It's not about worrying about what I don't have or what I'll miss out on or whether I will have other people competitively get ahead of me or I'll get left behind if. Those are all fear-based concepts and thoughts where we're being chased by the boogeyman of obsolescence, that we'll be obsolete or we will become invisible, or because of that I need to strive to be visible, I need to be part of the crowd, I need to keep up with things. This is just losing our way because we drown out our own voice. We lose our authenticity to the need to belong, an excessive need to belong, an excessive need to prevent loss. It's a scarcity mentality. So when you get rid of that, it's not about not doing that. It's about having something bigger to attend to, which is a mentality of creation, an orientation of what I want to create. It doesn't mean I can have it. I'll learn if I can have it or not once it comes into reality. But it's orienting to what I really want to bring into being. What do I really care about that I want to set my attention on? This is the most important matter. And as a result, the booby prize is I'll get a little more self-knowledge. I'll build my capacity a bit more. I'll provide the conditions for learning so that I can be in a lab mentality, make experiments. I'm always learning, never ever stop learning. So I'm always moving towards something that matters, that I want to build resources towards, because it just does. I think there's so much out there about striving to be the best version of ourselves. Who but a person that needs to do that is in the worst version of themselves? Is there something wrong with this version? Are we a misfit toy? Are we damaged goods? And so an advertiser comes along and says, well, meet the height, I'll set it for you. Do we buy that? Well, maybe we will if we're not careful. Maybe it's automatic. It slips in, hypnotizing. But that's very appetizing. But at the same time, you have the capacity to be keenly aware and regulate your own concepts in your mind. You can see your own seeing. You have to draw on those resources to be keenly aware, be aware of the mental constructs of your mind, how I see myself, the way I see others, how I see the world, my beliefs and my expectations, my fears, my ideals. Those are all constructs in the mind. And so, as we confront those, so too do we add more data to reality so that we can see the world, and we can see things in relationship to what we want to create in an accuracy. And with accuracy, we can better establish a place to start from because we know where we are in contrast to where we want to go. And that's the practice, that's the discipline of personal mastery. So here I am, I'm in this digitization age. Here I am in this age of wanting to look good. The social media piece is buying into the sense that I'm going to wear a mask to the world in a place to belong. I'm going to get hijacked. I'm aware of that tendency in myself. I'm aware of my ego. I'm aware of sometimes I believe I'm not enough, and it's very tempting to want to project a false self. I'm aware of that. But more importantly, I'm aware of some urges that I want to create. I'm aware of some ideas and goals and aspirations that I want to create. So I decide to fixate my attention on those as a higher value choice. So let's do that. Making a fist. For the first time on the road to Tampico, I felt the life sliding right out of me. A drum in the desert, harder and harder to bear. I was 7. I lay in the car, watching palm trees. I watched them swirl, a sickening pattern past the glass. My stomach was a melon split, wide inside my skin. How do you know if you are going to die? I begged my mother. We had been traveling for days. With strange confidence, she answered, when you can no longer make a fist. Years later, I smile to think of that journey, the borders we must cross separately, stamped with our unanswerable woes. I who did not die, who am still living, still lying in the back seat behind all my questions. Clenching and opening one small hand. Here we are talking about clenching a fist. When I can no longer clench, I die. Not real death, not physical death, but I die on the old stories. I die on the concepts. I die on being tethered to the old belief systems that haunt the current motivational structures from which I behave. So if I'm opening up one hand, I'm not clenching the fist, then I'm dying into the life. But I love this poem by Naomi Shihab Nye, Making a Fist, because it refers to clenching and opening one small hand. And that is the perfect analogy for answering our own questions. When we create, we answer our own question, what do we want to create? No one's answering that question for us. No boss, no employer, no parent, no loved one, nobody is saying, I have your answers. If they do, that's very concerning. If somebody claims that they know, then they're commanding obedience from you and they're conserving dominance and submission. They may not even know it. But if someone says, I know what's right for you, then we need to be very careful, because what's right for you, what is your own answer to your own question, what matters to me? What do I want to create? How do I want to contribute to this environment? How do I want to be measured for that? How do I want to be influencing people? What value do I want to bring to the world? How do I want to use my gifts? These are options. They are not obligations. We're not talking about purpose. We're talking about transformation. That the path to non-distraction, the path to live outside the technology that takes us away, the way to work with it, the way to have it add rather than subtract, is to be leaders. And leading means to access the quality of expression that we can occupy, the highest quality of expression at any moment. And that would suggest something that potentially needs to be unlid. The lid needs to be lifted, which is to not clench the fist, it's to open it, which is to be open to receive. Receive what? To receive the wisdom of our hearts and souls to determine or assign ourselves to things that matter because they do. And to stay faithful to the idea that matters because it matters, and that's all. Dying means leading. It means to let go. It means to let be. It means to let come and let in the possibility of an alternative future that might matter as much as we hope that it does when we illustrate it in our imagination. But we manifest the senses. If you've ever been in a room of people that don't know what mattered to them, you know what they'll fall to? Media. People who do what they do, it's because they have nothing more compelling to do. So media is not addictive. It's because we don't have a better thing to do. If I take painting utensils and put it in a room of kids, and they learn to finger paint and oil paint and create things that matter to them and love working with the easels and figuring it out, they don't stop looking at their phones. They don't need to. They have something better to do. Technology isn't the problem. It's that we need to have our priorities clear. And if we don't consider what matters to us, because we don't think we have any time, because we don't think we have any time to think or plan, because we're constantly oriented around the circumstances, that's not victim of the system, that's system of the victim. We need to reclaim our wholeness. And reclaiming our wholeness is to orient ourselves to doing and thinking and noticing and paying attention to and from what is important. And throw out the things that are not important. And that's not selfish. That is being self-full, which is like mindful, being aware of what's important to me. Now, you go in a room full of people like that, conversations are going to change. Interactions are going to change. Because the minute you know what matters to you, you look at reality differently. All of a sudden, reality becomes a current state. It becomes an actual place that you are on the path. It becomes a stair on the staircase. It becomes a temporal, definitive condition that is the current reality, the actual state in relationship to the desired one. How do you know what you want? It's not what you don't want, it's what you want. We're not removing a problem, we're identifying an aspiration. We're identifying a urge that we want that espouses itself in the idea of a possibility that we want to bring into reality. Creating, creating. That is it, to create or not create. So how am I doing at creating what I'm after? If I'm on my phone, or if I'm in my technology, or I'm on the media, or I'm hoodwinked and fooled by news, or if I'm pulled away by politics, or if why am I so appetizing to those taggers? It's not the tiger, it's the appetizing that you have to look at. What causes you to be appetizable? Because you have nothing better to do, because you're bored, because you don't know what matters to you. You don't have a place to go. You don't have a foolish or sacred project to work on. You haven't challenged yourself to put your nose in a direction and climb and go and create something. You haven't made your life-building process the subject matter of creating. And when you do, then you look at time available differently. You look at resources differently. You look at your gifts differently. You look at how you relate with others differently. Everything that you see and perceive now that you put at the center of your awareness begins to illuminate different aspects of reality that are corollary with what you want to create. You begin to see noise differently. You begin to identify time wasters differently because you're so interested and involved. You just really are sensitive to putting your attention and time into things that are stupid, that are wasteful, that are junk. So we don't remove distractions, we outgrow them. We don't manage digital stuff. We have bigger places to attend to. And if you're susceptible to those things, then you must have just nothing better to do. So that's what you do. And maybe that's what really does matter to you. And maybe that's confession time. Because if you look at your calendar or you look at what you did, if you tracked your time, you'd say, those are my priorities. They're determined by where you put your attention. And your calendar will tell you where you put your attention, and you are making decisions, and they have consequences. Allegiances. Allegiances by Bill Stafford. It is time for all the heroes to go home, if they have any. Time for all of us common ones to locate ourselves by the real things we live by. Far to the north, or indeed in any direction, strange mountains and creatures have always lurked. Elves, goblins, trolls, spiders. We encounter them in dread and wonder. But once we have tasted far streams, touched the gold, found some limit beyond the waterfall, a season changes and we come back. Changed, but safe, quiet, grateful. Suppose an insane wind holds all the hills, while strange beliefs whine at the traveler's ears. We ordinary beings can cling to the earth and love where we are, sturdy for common things. But once we have tasted far streams, touched the gold, found some limit beyond the waterfall, a season changes and we come back, changed, but safe, quiet, grateful. Suppose an insane wind holds all the hills, while strange beliefs whine at the traveler's ears. We ordinary beings can cling to the earth and love where we are, sturdy for common things. There's so much in this poem that brings us toward a space for listening, a space for access, for optimizing reception, and retrieving our wisdom. Listen to the first lines. It is time for all the heroes to go home if they have any. Who are the heroes? The heroes are the egos, the heroes in us that need to be important, the heroes that need to be better, the heroes that need to be rescuing the ones to fix. That's not help. That's just seeing a world that's broken to justify one's power. To go home if they have any, which is have any heart. Because if we move from our heads to our hearts and we fill ourselves with humanity and a cause and a sense of belonging by what we serve, by who we want to create value for, by focusing on others with our business and doing great service to our friends and family and being generous and kind. Time for all of us common ones to locate ourselves by the real things we live by. In other words, we can invest. Energy follows attention. What we focus on expands. It's been said, a waste is a terrible thing to mind. So what are you putting your mind on? What do you have on your mind? We locate ourselves by the real things we live by. Real things. Touching life. Letting nature touch us. Letting us be inspired, changed, moved. By paying attention greatly. Participating. Freeing our attention of the bonds, the captivity of our digital stuff. Of looking again. Not drowning ourselves out. And then it says far to the north. The north. The north. What is the north? The North is the North Star. The North is the anchor. The North is a place to go, the vision, or indeed in any direction. And here we go. Strange monsters and creatures have always lurked. Doubt, fear, hate, shame. Those are the inner enemies that corrupt our deep dream, the dream that's in us, the dream that's seeking us, the possibility of using our gifts, taking aim with our gifts, of individuation. That's what corrupts our hearing, the seeds of our hearts that really care and watch and pay attention to what is asked of us. He says, we encounter them in dread and wonder. What a wise point. We encounter those inner enemies, but behind those inner enemies is, as the Buddha said, we must make friends with those psychological factors because they are among us. You will not outrun your humanity in the pursuit of perfectionism. And that will lead to isolation anyway, so you might as well lose your connectivity and give it up for the sake of mastery. But dread and wonder means making space in the parenthesis, not just for what's there, but what's not there, which is the ever-present, ever-changing now and reality that is continuously moving forward and presenting new content, new context. Dread and wonder. I know the path by walking. Yes, I will walk the mystery path with practical feet. Yes, I will take the courageous path to see what the future needs. Yes, I take the viewpoint of the emerging future presenting itself in the now. Yes, I want to unlid that. Yes, I want to embody that. I step into that possibility. I co-create with it. I integrate that life is trustworthy. Dread and wonder. But you get to fixate your attention on what you select. And once you have tasted the far streams, touch the gold. Once you have tasted the joy of giving, the kindness, the service, bringing what you care about into reality. It could touch lives, it could touch your own, but it's staying true to what your heart wants, being heart-guided. Found some limit beyond the waterfall. The visible spectrum of what is wondrous, but there's something beyond the waterfall. There's a space there. A season changes and we come back. It's like things change around us, like the tree. We have leaves that fall, but we bear fruit, and then we have another season. We're like that. We are in cycles. As we go through cycles as a culture, we go through cycles as a society. Right now, we're in a stage of decadence. We're in a stage of false self-systems. We're at a stage of greed. We're at a stage in our society of having deep wishes that are egotistically met, rather than being stewards of the earth or being stewards of each other. So how deep are your urges? Some of you will have urges that are just, you care about something, you want to bring it. You want to make children, you do. You want to make a party, you do. You write a book because you care, you want to bring it into being, and that's fine. Others, you may want to service people. Maybe it's also acting on behalf of a deep whisper that you haven't said yes to. You know that there's something there, but you haven't actually made it a workable idea and open up the possibility by changing it into a possibility through the crack that you follow. It's shining into the present moment. Get a hold of it. You taste the stream. A season changes, but we come back. You are still here as things change. What stays is the witness. What stays is this conserving of the acceptance of things as they arise. That is what's asked. Don't reduce the potential of the moment to something you expect. Stay true to your intentions. Stay flexible to what is happening now. Peripheral vision. He says, changed but safe, quiet, grateful. Stillness is the language of the future. Stillness is the gateway to connect with an emerging future. Quiet, grateful for what is here. Learning to receive, safe in faith, knowing everything will be exactly what the future needs now. Trust. Suppose an insane wind holds all the hills, while strange beliefs whine at the traveler's ears. We ordinary beings can cling to the earth and love where we are, sturdy for common things. The fortitude and strength is in the capacity to let go of hope as a prognostication, as a guarantee. Creating doesn't need speculation to make creations. When you set out to create something, you don't know how to do it. That's the fun of it, is to get into something separate from what you know. That's the courage of challenging yourself to that zone of making choices beyond what you know. That's where learning is. And you don't know what you know until you go toward what that deep primary place is within you that just whispers and says, "This is what I want to do." And you buoy it up and you join with it and you make friendship with it. And you go out with your whole being. We ordinary beings can cling to the earth and love where we are because we're identified with being human beings, having an experience on earth of beholding love, love as a generative force, and beholding honesty as a generative force. The honesty is the force of nature, of truth, of where things are in relationship to what we want. Not plutonic truth, but the truth of accuracy, the truth of telling ourselves the truth, the whole full picture that we can become aware of, as aware of we can. And what we behold when we open that personal mastery of pursuing what matters to us, committing to the truth to ourselves. The fundamental choice to be true to ourselves is we access our basic goodness, our wisdom, that is co-creative, that is handshaking combined with the quality of the action, the quality of the urge that we can identify and espouse and occupy as an occupation. We ordinary beings can cling to the earth and love where we are, sturdy for common things. We can meet the moment. We can lean in with uncertainty and alacrity and take meaningful leaps into that place of mystery. This is why Stafford's Allegiances is so powerful. It's how things come and how things are opened. Does that mean we go with the flow? Not entirely, but it means that we do have a capacity for showing up in the field, the social field, the field of nature in which we encounter life directly. And we can open our minds not to pass judgment or project onto things and reduce things to what we think they are. We don't need shadow boxing. We don't need projection, slides on the wall. What we need is to see the facts. See here, see this. Seeing our own seeing. That's it. That's it. I love the other poem by him. It's called You Reading This, Be Ready, because it establishes this way of seeing, of sort of meeting the life that's here with an originality of the experience of it. We're talking about paying attention in the realm of an intention. And that when you're intentional and you pay attention more completely, there's some pretty interesting things that emerge. He says, starting here, what do you want to remember? How sunlight creeps along a shining floor? What scent of old wood hovers? What softened sound from outside fills the air? Will you ever bring a better gift for the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go right now? Are you waiting for time to show you some better thoughts? When you turn around, starting here, lift this new glimpse that you found. Carry it into evening, all that you want from this day. The interval you spent reading or hearing this, keep it for life. What can anyone give you greater than now, starting here, right in this room, when you turn around? Seeing with fresh eyes. Seeing the stranger in your wife. Seeing the stranger in the moment. Opening the possibility of surprise. Rid yourself of your ideals, your concepts. Take the imaginary scissors, cut them. Be mindful of automatic mind. Be aware of conditioned thought. Learn to think. And as you sense into the moment like this and sense what is there, what you encounter is potentially significant. It could be a spark as you make room in yourself for something. As if you were sitting on a stump in a forest quietly, letting the forest find you and looking at you, sensing into you as a participant in the ecosystem of it. It is a living, breathing frontier that is in you, and you are in it, a part of it all. Insubstantial, but we're too much about the somebody. Who am I? How do I want other people to see me? How do I get attention? How do I become desirable? This path is a path that's very reckless. It's a path of what's happening to me and what is it about? It's about me. It's about the organization of my world as me versus maybe getting interested in it, in what's happening out here, or what's happening for them, with them, or what's happening for you in a more generative hidden wholeness, which is to encounter silence. So entering the gateway of humility is to suspend thought. What can anyone give you greater than now, starting here right in this room when you turn around? It's like the innocence, the virgin perception of seeing without putting anything on what you expect to see, just see it as it is in current state, naked, real. What if every conversation you had with others, with life, with yourself, was the don't know mind? What if you maintain your inexperience, as Twyla Tharp says? What if everything you're creating is like scratching a lottery ticket? You don't need to see what's behind the lottery ticket before you scratch. You scratch to see what's behind the lottery ticket. Scratching is a process of unfolding. It's a process of undoing. But you have no guarantee that you're going to win the lottery. So why do you scratch? Because of the possibility. And the creative act is not only a path of doing things and producing great creations, but it's a way of being in the world. When you turn around, starting here, lift this new glimpse that you found. Carry it into evening, all that you want from this day. Like conserve what was given to you. Here we are talking about blessing and gratitude. The interval you spent reading or keeping or hearing this, keep it for life. Like here you are taking a moment, a time out, a pit stop to encounter my voice and to hear me and take me in and bring me inside you and have me speak to a part of you. You're hearing my voice, you're encountering my energy. Here I am. I'm not scripted. I'm just riffing on what's coming, and the right words maybe are listening. I'm trusting this. I'm sensing into what needs to be said. Sure, I have a plan. I want to share this poem with you, but I also want to make sure we have an understanding. Maybe I can open up vistas that you can pull in. And through this vista, the next time you encounter an opportunity for learning, you can set the conditions better to see nature's pattern and gather your wisdom within you to be able to see more and to offer a sense of direction to yourself in combination with that primordial space, that stuff that's around everything that is pure space. Space and distance. The distance that we get to, like going up a mountain, is a critical thing because if we're up at that distance, we have different vantage points. Just like any creation or goal or project, the distance that we get helps us see what was behind us. It helps us see what is involved. We consolidate gains and stretch. And we can see from that vantage point more data and more information that provides clarity. There's no way to get that without action. So understanding is a process of listening and listening generatively, but it's learning by doing without expecting anything of a guarantee of the outcome. We're open to it, but we're not attached to it. And that has a warrior-like quality to leaning in and showing up because we're curious. We stay curious on behalf of a goal that we've set on how we're going to make it work. We're not sure, but we can report to ourselves what we maybe know how to do and don't know how to do at this stage of pursuing it. This is great. It's pleasurable and it's involving. And that is the source of happiness. It integrates our happiness at the level at which we discover new things within the structure of pursuing something that's important. And we may change our mind. What matters to us yesterday may not matter anymore. It sure does now, or vice versa. It's okay to change our mind, but the heart of the matter is entering the moment with a sense of what matters. That's not a requirement, it's an opportunity. It's not an obligation, it's choice. What matters to us is what we conceive of. We don't discover it entirely. Yes, we may discover it as we go along, but to start creating, to begin a process of bringing something to reality, is germinating a seed from which something in an idea is important. We love it, then we create it. Will you ever bring a better gift for the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go? Like opening the peripheral vision and the possibility of the moment. Are you waiting for time to show you better thoughts? Like, are you waiting for something? Are you waiting to discover it in shining armor? Is it like purpose is a wearable? That when I get my purpose, when I know what I'm doing, when I figure things out, when I get my getaway and go and think, it doesn't work that way. You enter from wherever you enter because it has nothing to do with your circumstances. You consider what matters to you rather than discover what matters to you. Sure, the place may amplify how you create it. The place may amplify what you tap into. The place may amplify some creativity. But creating and creativity are not the same. When you create, you begin a pattern of increasing capacity. You increase your capability and confidence to pay attention to where you need to. And something new comes out of something that is ending, fossilizing. And sometimes it can come harshly. Sometimes. Mary Oliver writes a beautiful poem about a hurricane that I think espouses this great. She says, "It didn't behave like anything you had ever imagined." Like this was the first date. The hurricane is the stranger. The wind tore at the trees. The rain fell for days, slant and hard. The back of the hand to everything. The back of the hand to everything. I watched the trees bow and their leaves fall and crawl back into the earth. As though that was that. This was one hurricane I lived through. The other one was of a different sort and lasted longer. Then I felt my own leaves giving up and falling, the back of the hand to everything. But listen, listen now to what happened to the actual trees. Toward the end of that summer, they pushed new leaves from their stubbed limbs. It was the wrong season, yes, but they couldn't stop. They looked like telephone poles and didn't care. And after the leaves come blossoms. For some things, there are no seasons, which is what I dream of for me. For some things, there are no seasons, which is what I dream of for me. And after the leaves came blossoms. We can't stop time's unfolding. In the creative process, time moves forward. And so we can't stop the process of unfoldment and learning by following the track of life. Our fingernails will grow, our hair grows, our lives will evolve. If you think about where you were 5 years ago, were you thinking about where you are today? How accurate was your predictions? If you look at all the journey that you took over the last 5 years, did it hold all of the lessons that life gave you, what you belong to, the pain and the pleasures, the sweets and the sours? Could it have possibly held to your vision? The dream was bigger. The dream dreaming of you was bigger. The invitation was bigger because something was larger than you. A larger will, a larger place to be. Not just your puny will, but something that was destined to be. And in that sense, we show up to that. But we're not sure what it is. And we don't need to be. It's just presence into purpose, purpose into emergence. And then playfulness and having the opportunity to be faithful, to lean in. The telephone pole, the telephone pole. What an image, right? Didn't care. If it all got taken away, if I was getting a major disease and I had chemotherapy and my hair fell out, I'm just in a place of emptiness that's ready to let new hair grow. I'm in a transition. Or if I'm traumatized by a life event of someone leaving my life or a terrible loss, that these things will always, the entropic quality will lead to another cycle. That is trustworthy. That is what collapse means. Collapse is a process of renewal. Collapse is a process of dying and being born, fossilizing and coming to exist. That sentiment of something rising from the rubble, the phoenix story of the feathers being burned into the ashes and coming back, is the essence of transformation, something transforming from one to the other, something moving from this side to the other side. The far shore is reached from the near shore. That's transformation. But something is acquired that was never intended or expected on the journey. The itinerary could never hold that. It was too big. But we're big enough to elevate. We're big enough to expand because we have a heart. For some things, there are no seasons. For some things, you want it because you want it because you love it. It's not the season that gives you the permission. It doesn't initiate you. You do. Responsibilities taken, not given to you, which is what I dream of for me, which is to elevate to the level at which I am operating in my life as a creator, as one who listens to creations as I create them, and then sensing into the changes that I draft and redraft and modify in my plans as I close the distance off. It's about distance. Maybe distance is the most important thing, because we can only really see what it really was by looking backwards. But the only way we'll really get to see is by having the foresight of looking forward with a look back from the future, a future look back augmentation, which is to sense into a possibility and then look back into the present and gain insight that may pregnantly point something out in confirmations, coincidences, and synchronicities that just seem just right. I don't know how that works, and I don't claim it. But I do know, in my experience and having coached thousands, that when you hold a desired state to a current state, and there's a balancing process there, and your attention and your intention are symbiotically in sync, where you're paying attention at the highest level on your own, not by something being hijacked or taken, but you give attention to your attention, and you're paying attention to your intention, then synchronicities or strange coincidences will precipitate more frequently. Because you're putting what's important to you at the center of your awareness and attending from there and being aware, and you're accepting the moment as it is. So all that life can do is nourish you with great insight, foresight, and hindsight. Because the humility is the mechanism to coordinate seeing. Equanimity is the mechanism to emotionally intelligently sense into things with an open heart that we can trust, to understand where others are in a collective process into our own individuation, where I am of the whole and the whole is of me, and that I am in ecosystem awareness. I am of the house, the eco, like ecology. Ego would mean I'm separate. I am different. I am unique. I need to be seen. I need to define myself. Because who but a person that would need to do that wouldn't be enough? But if I let go of my preoccupations with power, then I give power. Then I am power. Then I am as me, and then I am with me in others. And I am for me in the sense that I'm for the indivisible whole that is connecting me to something greater that I have not yet to realize what is all about until I get there. But I have enough of an urge to act upon it. It's partial. Something in the parenthesis is blank, and it's ready to emerge. So I'd like to close with a final poem about this tapping into this zone or stream of things that are there as a stronger presence than the low level paying attention to your media or your screen stuff. so that you have bigger business to attend to, so that you listen on another plane of possibility, so that you attend and give your attention to the life that's here and the possibility of how you could come to service or to act on what it is that you sense in you needs to be expressed, or that you voice things that matter to you that need to be said because someone else won't say them, or that you act upon urges to create because you want to create your life as art. These things are good. Humility is a gateway, equanimity is a gateway, and stillness is the language of the future. This is called Understory by Mark Nepo. I've been watching stars rely on the darkness they resist, and fish struggle with and against the current, and hawks glide faster when their wings don't move. Still, I keep retelling what happens till it comes out the way I want. We try so hard to be the main character when it is our point of view that keeps us from the truth. The sun has its story that no curtain can stop. It's true. The only way beyond the self is through it. The only way to listen to what can never be said is to quiet our need to steer the plot. When jarred by life, we might unravel the story we tell ourselves and discover the story we are in, the one that keeps us telling who we are and what we're here to do. And I leave with you that thought, because this is paying attention to the generative listening, not just the empathic listener that gathers service and then organizes action around service and value creation for other human beings. This isn't just the one who sees the current moment and reality and then is resourceful based on the truth and the accuracy and then activating an analysis or movement based on data. It's not just those things. This really beholds a larger sense of things, a larger presence, where the world is speaking to you through everything, and everything is relevant and enfolded into everything. And you have access to this blend of perceptions, this courageous, confluent way of compassion and curiosity. And that this willingness is equal to your will. And this generative order to make room in yourself for mystery, not just mastery. That there is a larger game, a meta game, a game of possibilities that is outside the small self, that's outside shrinking back into entertainment, shrinking back into occupying yourself with bullshit, but bigger, so that the life that you so carefully and preciously have available to you, and the leadership moments that you have with your commerce and your customers and your family, you have so much music in you to play. And we need that music. We need you to love what you do. That's your DNA talking to you. That's the stuff. That's science. That's what you're here to do. Because to love is to see, and that is what you're supposed to do. But if you're dicking around with all this other stuff that's low level, that gives you no return, doesn't add any value during your visit, makes you look at life when it's all done and you wonder what the hell you did, you wasted it. I'm not saying you live it by avoiding regrets, but when you have sacred regrets like this, it gets real, because then you realize that there's something more to examine than just the entertainment and the things that the city gives you and all of the things that your friends can give you and all the delights and all the pleasures and all those things. Those are all needy things. You can get your needs met. You could try to get your contentment from all that, but I think you're tasting salt water. It won't quench your thirst. The invitation is possibility. The invitation is ownership. The invitation is the answer to your own question. What do I want to create? And then to create or not create. That is the question. And to make creations a life-building, co-organizing process that's fundamental to where you enter in every day, every moment, every week, so that you have that kind of involvement. And then as you freestyle, as you let go and let come, and you have moments where you're not exactly tethered to that or line of sighting, not everything is needing to be organized, not everything is designed around a goal, but at least you have an awareness of what it is that matters, or you're paying attention to the heart and meaning of things with such depth and attention
that you're changeable. And that changeability, to be inspired, moved, surprised, to be astonished, is another resource out of which you crystallize intention. And you go after things because they make themselves aware to the self you are, that is the vessel and the channel to bring it into being as it desires. We might unravel the story we tell ourselves and discover the story we are in, the one that keeps telling us. Thank you.